Hello. I'm an energy nerd. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about energy, but basically what I want to do, I think, is kind of share my story. I've been doing this for a long time, and share a little bit about the trajectory of my thinking as it's evolved over the years. So I've been working on energy efficiency and renewable energy systems since the Carter administration. So I started off working for the State Energy Office many years ago. Even before I got my first job, I have an environmental studies degree from Shippensburg, and the story I tell myself anyway is I kind of looked at what are all the big environmental impacts in the world, because that's what I want to spend my career doing. I want to work on the biggest environmental impacts. And so I looked at energy and food, and so it just happened to be energy. So I worked for the State Energy Office for quite a while, promoting energy efficiency and renewables, doing a lot of workshops and energy audits. I wrote a book while I was there on solar energy. We did a lot of workshops on solar energy. So I've been at this quite a long time. In 1993, I started my company. It's called Energy Opportunities, which is a part of Seven Group. And we did a lot of work with nonprofit organizations, helping them to reduce their energy costs, both in York and in Philadelphia. Did a lot of work early on around this notion of green buildings. So having an environmental degree, certainly this notion of incorporating more than just energy into our efforts. This notion of green buildings was really appealing to me. We got involved really early on in the kind of first wave of green buildings that were going on. Heard about this thing called the LEED rating system. How many people are familiar with LEED? All right. It's got good brand recognition. So caught that early wave, actually worked on one of the first 12 LEED certified projects in the world, and then devoted a lot of my time and effort, as did many of my colleagues with Seven Group, into promoting the LEED rating system. We weren't alone. There were a number of people involved with this, but we were pretty instrumental in bringing LEED to market recognition. So bringing LEED to the point where most of you have actually even heard of it. So I've literally worked on thousands of LEED green building rated projects, and have spent quite a lot of time trying to promote that system and many others. So back in 2009, my colleagues and I wrote a book on this concept called integrative design. It's kind of, you could think of it as systems thinking for building design projects. So we wrote a book on that subject. It's a process you use to help make a building significantly greener without increasing its first cost. And we did this on many, many commercial projects, dozens in fact, where we were actually able to produce buildings that cost less to build and were significantly more energy efficient, significantly better performing, not only on energy, but many other environmental factors as well. I've worked on probably some of the greenest building projects in the world, several of which have achieved the Living Building Challenge, if you're familiar with that system. So all these things are absolutely necessary. But one of the things I found after doing this work for probably about 25 or 30 years is working on incremental change within the confines of the current paradigm is not going to affect the change that we need. It's not going to affect the scale of change that is necessary. So I came to that realization probably more than 10 years ago, that this incremental approach that we'd been taking, focused on technical solutions, wasn't changing the field that we were working in. So the world that we were trying to create simply wasn't responding. So if we can show people that it costs less to do this, and you get all this great environmental performance, and people still don't do it, that tells me that there's something missing here. There's got to be a better way. So I want you to imagine something for a second. So imagine that we're able to completely replace fossil fuels overnight. So tomorrow, there is no fossil fuel consumption anywhere in the world. We've developed cheap, inexpensive technologies that are readily deployable, and that doesn't exist. So have we solved the climate crisis? So what problems still exist? Right? So the trajectory of my thinking led me to question a lot of assumptions, I think, behind it. And those assumptions really, when you follow that trajectory and you ask about 20 whys, why is it like this, why is it like that, my thinking leads to what needs to change is humanity's worldview. Climate change is really nothing more than a symptom for a much larger problem. And that problem is the relationship that humans have with nature. So I'll kind of end with a Gregory Bateson quote, and I'll paraphrase a little bit here. But essentially, all of our problems are due to the fact that the way humans think and the way nature works is not in alignment. So, thank you.